Hello, my name is Jimmy Vegas and welcome to this, the ninth in a series of video tutorials for Unity 3D. Now, in this episode what we'll be looking at is creating a weapon for our player. We'll be looking at creating a log cabin, expanding over here maybe, and for all you pyromaniacs we'll be looking at starting a fire using the particle system. So, if we get into it, what we'll be looking at first is if we go here to our player, and I think it's probably best if we move our player outside of our village just this way. Now the reason for this is we've pretty much developed all we're going to within that little village, and we'll be using more of the terrain. So I think for now, if we press play, we can see that our player is outside, and it saves having to go through our dungeon here to get outwards. So we can just come straight out each and every time. So if we go here, click player, and go to game object, create other, and we'll go down to, let's see, we'll go to cylinder. And we will change this to be our weapon. So if we drag and drop onto main camera, and all this does is it creates this an attachment to the camera. So wherever the camera moves, we see our weapon. So if we zero out the position, zoom in so we can see, pull it outwards, and let's see. We go here, change the scale to something smaller, so maybe 0.2, a bit too small for that one, so we'll put that as 0.6, and we'll keep this one at 0.2 as well. Okay, so if we look at the rotation, if we keep that, we'll change that. Okay, so we have that at 0.2. We look at pulling it out this way, pulling it a little closer, and if we go up here, go to play, we can see it's not how we want it. So if we just play around, move it around, and we can see, oh, I think we pull that in slightly the wrong direction. We just need to pull it this way, and we should be able to see it right in front of us. Yeah, right there. Doesn't look fantastic, but it's right there. Okay, so what we'll do is we will change the sorry, not the scale. We want to change the rotation, apologies, and we'll change that to 150 be too, yeah, 50 is too much. So we'll just put that as 60 for now. If we press play, you can see, yeah, looks sort of like what a Dalek would see, but it will do for now. That will serve as our weapon in future tutorials. So, as you can see, all our settings are set here. We don't need to worry too much about them. Just change the scale a little bit more, make it a little bit thinner. Okay, if we zoom out, look around, and if we move over here a bit, our aim is to make a bit of a log cabin around this area. So we collapse the hierarchy, and game object, create other, and go down to cylinder again. Now if we just change our settings here, zero out the position, and that's it. If we just go in, we can see, and what we'll do is we will drag out onto our terrain nice and easily, There we go. A little bit further. It's in the middle of a bump in our terrain. So we just need to drag it here. Now this cylinder will serve as the first block for our log cabin. Just drag it down slightly. You'll be able to see how close it is to the ground by the shadow just here. So if we pull down towards the ground, like so, and here, right click, create, and material. Rename this material to log 001, and here we will import this asset. Drag and drop into Unity, and then drag over here, and then drag our material straight onto our object as usual. So now you can see we have a perfectly formed log. Fantastic. It's not really a cabin, but it's a start. So if we press play and have a look over, walk round our little bump, and you can see in the middle of our crosshairs is that little log we just created. Okay, so we take our log, change the rotation. Actually, if we go here, go to debug, it'd be much easier for now. We just need to change it and change it entirely, so we put 1. So if we drag down right to the ground, you can see that's our first one. So all we need to do now, no, I don't think there's any point changing on the y-axis, so we'll keep that as 0. So if we take it and we start to build our entire cabin, which is just hold Control, press D to duplicate and drag it out, still holding Control. You'll notice they all say cylinder. What we'll do is we'll create an empty game object, rename it, and we'll just call it log cabin 001. We'll rename each of our cylinders that we've got just as log. And the last one, there we go. Okay, so if we drag and drop into the hierarchy, like so. Now, the rest of the building of the log cabin is just simply duplicating. So it's holding Control, pressing D to duplicate, and once they've duplicated, still holding Control, just drag using the arrows on your games, on your scene screen. Sorry. So if I do go quiet, don't worry, it's just because I'm simply duplicating and pulling. It really is that simple, as it always is with most things in Unity. The simplicity is always there. So if we move across, you can see the front of our cabin is slowly appearing. And what we'll do is, if we delete this here, we'll keep that one, and we'll delete the one just above it to create a window. So if we take these here, duplicate them, pull them out, and again, and again, and again, the usual. Like so. We take this and delete, and the same with this one, and I think we'll delete these ones at the end just to make everything even. Makes everything easier in the long run. Okay, so we've half created the front of our first log cabin. So next thing to do is, if we take this log just here, duplicate, and then we rotate so as it sort of faces upwards to create a roof-like effect. So we'll change it to 0.2, should be 0.5 I think. Yep, I think that looks just about fine, but I think best thing to do is if we change it to minus 0.5 so we can do this side first. So if we drag up and then zoom out a little, and all we need to do is carry it on upwards. So if we duplicate and pull it outwards, and again, and again, and I think one more, that should do the trick. So you can see this is starting to build here. If we take this, duplicate again, and we'll change this to 0.5. I think best thing to do for this one is rather than fiddle around with it, oops, I think it's best if we just start this over again. If we put that as 0, drag it outwards, and then put it back as 0.5, and oops, little problems there. Go back to this, and we'll just delete this one for now. We'll take this, and we will just pull it outwards, and again, and again, and there we go. So we just need to fill in our little gap just here. So we'll take these, duplicate and pull them up, pull along, just to fill in the entire thing. Like so. And just pull that one slightly this way without holding control. So as you can see, we've started building this up. So we finish up just these ones here. Just change the angle around a touch. Just duplicate these ones upwards, like so. That one needs to be shrink that a little bit, so we'll put that as point, let's see, 7, that's still a bit big at that. Needs to be shrunk a little bit more, and we'll put that as 0.6 I think. That'll do for now. Let's pull that one to align it correctly, and just here, and another one just along here. Move it back a touch, I think, along there. Move this one back. There we go. That should do the trick. There. So now we have the front of our log cabin all complete. That is the hardest bit of the entire thing done. The rest is relatively simple. It's just creating the other 3 walls and finishing up the rest of our roof. So let's move around a touch so we can see. And if we just duplicate this and pull it to the right position, change on the rotation. That's not quite gone to plan as usual. So what I think is probably best at the moment is if we delete, we start again, pull out, up here to normal, and change our rotation on the y-axis to 90. Back to debug. Okay, so once we have that all set, if we just realign our log about, let's say, there. Yep, that looks fine. Just move over slightly so we can have a look. Yep, so if we duplicate and then pull along, and again, and again, and again. Select all, one by one, like so. Hold Control D, duplicate, and drag up, and again, and again, and one more time, like so. Now we have this side wall completed. There's not a lot to it, we're not going to bother with any features on this one. So if we do this again, select all these, duplicate, and drag across to the other side. And if we just move around so we can have a look, and just pull them out a little more, about there. So if we duplicate and pull up, and again, and again, and one more time. There we go. So that's the other wall done. So our next task is to complete the back wall. So if we pull out from here, move around so we can have a look. We just need to realign this slightly. About there should do it, I think. Yep, that looks fine. Okay, so if we duplicate this log, pull it, duplicate, there we go. Again, and again, and again, and again, and one more time. There we go. Let's move it along, let's have a look, and that looks fine. Okay, so if we select all again on here, duplicate, and pull up, and again, all the way to the top. Okay, so now we have our 4 walls, a door, and our 2 windows. Next thing we need to do is complete the roof. And to do that, all we do is duplicate this section just here, all of this. And the best way to do that is if we move our camera angle around slightly, try and get it as straight as possible, and then select as many logs as we can within that one section, which it's about there, I would say. Control D to duplicate and pull it along to the end. And then all we need to do is just realign slightly with the back wall. You can see it's gone just slightly too far. So if we align it to about there, I would say. I think that looks fine. Next, if we select all these here, all of these logs along, I've selected the wrong one there, let's start that again. Just change the angle slightly so we can see a bit better. There we go. So if we select all these logs here, which serve as the roof, oh dear, apologies, I'm having a few problems here. Okay, so as I was saying, if we select all these logs one by one, and on the other side too, and one more, we can duplicate and pull out along so we can nice and easily create our roof one by one. Just a few more, and there we go. So all we'll do here is we'll duplicate this log as we didn't pull it over originally, and there we go. So now we have our entire log cabin completed. All the way over here. we wander over to it, we can see it looks just fine. The door height should be perfect for us to fit in, which it is. The floor isn't perfect, but we can work on that on another tutorial. Okay, so after that, what we're going to look at is creating a little fire around the front here. And to do that, we are going to go to Game Object, Create Other, and Particle System. Now, if you remember, we have dealt with particle systems before in when we created the torches in our village and our little dungeon. However, this particle system will be a little different. We're playing with a few more settings. Okay, so if you go up here to normal, you'll be able to see it playing its little animation. Doesn't look much like a fire. All these settings here will help us make it look more like a fire. So if we change the start speed to, let's say, 1.5, that looks alright. Start size, let's see. No, I think we'll put that as 2. We'll keep it as 2. Start color, if you select a kind of a dark orange, maybe touch darker, that looks just about right. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. If you scroll down, you can see other options available. So what we'll do is if you click on Particle System here, it will close down that section. And there's all different selections to go to. We won't cover them all, but we will cover a few of them as they do help. Okay, so if you go to size of a lifetime first and tick the box, click the grey box just here, and at the bottom you'll see a red line. We create a curve with this line, so if you click here and drag it down, you'll see that it moves and creates a curve. So if you click about there and then drag it all the way to the end, so you create a curve like so. Click on size over lifetime again to close that down. And next, if you go to shape, shape will keep us cone for now. Angle, change to 0. And radius, changed also to 0. Actually, we'll go with 0.2, I think. As you can see, it's already created a sort of fire-looking effect with the particle system, but it doesn't look much like a fire, it just looks orange. So next, if you go to rotation over lifetime and change here to a tick, but don't change the angular velocity, keep it as 45. So down here, right click, create, material, and I'll call this material flame 001. Next, if we import the flame image into Unity, like so. Remember, all these assets are available on our website for free. And then drag our flame texture into our material. Up here, where it says Shader Diffuse, you need to click down, click to Particles, and click Additive. And you will notice that when we do so, it takes away all the black within our flame to give it a flame look. All we need to do then is if we click on our particle system, go down to renderer, down here, you'll see render mode, billboard. We need to change that to stretch billboard. I mean, you have different options. I won't go into detail with them, but stretch billboard gives the appearance of a better flame. So if we drag our material and drop it over here into the renderer, you'll see here we actually start having our particles look more like a fire. We can drag it around because currently the base of the fire, the particle system, is beneath our terrain, so it wouldn't be seen. But since we have a very tall fire anyway, it would seem a bit odd to have a tall fire for a campfire. But if you change the shape, you'll see you can have all crazy sorts of fire designs. Just one particle system can create all this. And I think actually instead of having cone, we'll have it as a box. On second thought, it looks slightly better as a box. Because if we drag it to there, it looks like a reasonable sized campfire. So at the moment, you can see, yeah, it's fire, but it's not glowing. So if we rename this, and we'll call this campfire 001. And we'll close the hierarchy for our log cabin, just to tidy it up a bit. Okay, so what we'll do now is, I think the best thing to do is to make our fire look a bit better. So if you go to Game Object, Create Other, and Point Light. As you can see, that's rather bright. So if you rename, and let's see, we'll call this one, what can we call it? We'll call it Fire Glow 001. And if we drag onto our campfire, then we will zero out the position to put it in the center, like so. But as you can see, the center is underneath the terrain. So we just need to pull it up very slightly above the terrain, like so. We'll change the color here to a yellowy, orangey sort of color. About, let's say, there, I think. Maybe a bit brighter. There we go. I think that should do the trick. Okay. You can change the intensity to, I don't know, is this going to be 2 by 3? I think it's too bright. So if we change it to 0.5, that looks fine. And we'll keep the range at 10 for now. Okay, so we have a bit of a glow on our fire now with just a simple point light. That looks okay. Looks fairly decent. Okay, so the next thing to do is create other cube down here. And we'll create what appear to be a few little logs, just so as it doesn't look like the fire is burning the grass itself. So if we look here in our materials from our village, you can see we have this wooden texture. It's not perfect, but I think that should probably do the trick for now. So what we'll do is we will change the scale, the size of it. Let's see, 0.2 I think. 0.2, I think that should do the trick. And if we drag it to the ground, that'll do like that. If we duplicate and change the rotation on the y-axis, let's see, to 20, yep, that'll do. So the best thing to do now is if we do, let's see, I think 40. Just trying to find the right axis for this at the moment. Let's see. Okay. I think if we keep that as 60, duplicate, yes, that's what we'll do. We'll duplicate and change the angles slightly. So if we duplicate again, change this angle to 90, duplicate once again, and change the angle to 120. And as you can see, it creates a little bit of a circle of wood on the ground where our campfire is. That'll do for now, I think. That looks great. Okay, so we'll leave this tutorial here for now. I think next time we'll have to have a look at tidying up our hierarchy, as it is getting a little bit messy again. All these cubes that we need to rename. We'll look at expanding our world a little more. There is a lot we can actually put in to our game. So if we play it here, you can see that we still do have problems with it. Like I say, we've got our weapon in place, so we'll look at sorting that out too. So I hope to see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.